opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television. The original broadcast date is presumably May 29th, 2020, but who keeps up anymore? I want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Tonight we are talking to Keith Ottersberg. Keith is we decided on the title energy worker because he's into all this stuff, but he's not quite into some of it. So we're just going to go with energy worker and go with that. We do have celebrity announcements tonight, everyone. We do have count them three, good celebrity announcements. We'll drop them after the 30-minute mark of the show. And, and the other thing is, I want to explain, okay, I am here by myself tonight. I'm flying solo, mostly just to remind myself that I can still do it, and to remind everybody else that I can still do it. That and the fact that this was just a topic that I wanted to talk about, and I know Keith, and so Keith, welcome to the show. Oh, and I caught him sneezing. That sucks.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I've been meaning to have you on for quite some time. Your name has popped up in the paranormal circles, but every time I started a new paranormal show, it either I got tired of it or it tanked or something, and so I decided, you know what, this would be a good chance for me to have Keith on, because what it is, everybody, Keith has been doing something. We're friends on Facebook, like everybody is, and I knew a lot about Keith from his connection with Spirit Mechanix, and of course met him this year at Scarefest, but he's always posting these numbers that pop into his life. Sometimes it's just the clock on his damn phone. Sometimes it's something else. But these numbers have meaning to him, and they do to a lot of people. So if I actually had a real numerologist on the show, Keith, they'd probably just talk down to me or over my head is more like it. So I thought maybe, if I just have somebody who's kind of on my level, on my plane of thinking, and we do have a lot in common. We've discussed that in person. So,
like he says, words.
Yes, their words are tough. First of all, introduce yourself to the people and tell the people a little bit about yourself as far as your connection to the paranormal and what you actually do.
Okay. Keith Ottersberg. I run a paranormal group called Cobra Paranormal up here in Wymore, Nebraska. We go to, within probably a 2 to 3 mile, 100-mile radius around, to help people who are having paranormal issues. A lot of teams go in, investigate, get evidence, and that's, they wave some sage around, and that's where they leave it. We go in, we assess the situation, we study the property, we study the individuals, and when we go in, we take care of everything. We cleanse everything properly. We provide aftercare. That way these people actually get the help that we need. We are also the Nebraska chapter of the Spirit Mechanix, out of Lexington. I can't ever say that name. Lexington, Kentucky. Words. Steve Smith's group. Awesome guys and gals down there. They taught, my team a lot. I was actually one of their clients. I was featured on Dead Files a couple years ago. And Amy knew exactly who to send to help, us. Spirit Mechanix probably saved my life. Amy and Steve probably saved my life in this production, so I'm very thankful for that. But that's what we do. We help people. I'm secondary Reiki, so I do a lot of energy work, healing, distance healing, stuff like that. And I'm not an official counselor, but I do help a lot of people here and
Now your connection with Spirit Mechanix. Now I've read your bio on your website because I do my 5 minutes of research as per usual. This whole energy work. Now this was not something you embraced before all this came about with Dead Files and Spirit Mechanix, correct?
Correct.
So take me through that transition, because now the reason I ask it that way is when I got into the paranormal field, I was convinced that I had no real psychic ability at all. I was convinced of it. I would tell people, no, I'm not even interested in it. And the longer I was in it, and things happened, and I got the feelings and all that, and and then basically psychics talked me into how psychic I was. So that's why I ask it the way I asked it.
Yeah, that's with me. Amy said, after the show, we were upstairs talking in the spare bedroom, and she's like, "You need to work on this, this, and this, or you need to shut it down because it's going to destroy you." I'm like, "Okay." I didn't know I had any gifts. I was blind to everything. I was concentrating on surviving, my paranormal experiences, and that's it. But once that was gone, then I could slowly start paying attention to things. Then I would start noticing things in a better way. And then Holly from the Mechanics, she talked me into learning Reiki, which has been very beneficial. You can actually Reiki entities and spirits. A lot of people probably don't know that.
I've been told that. Really, which actually, now my first experience with that, we were, I was doing a case, and one spirit was just communicating her ass off, and the other one, really wasn't interested. I mean, I don't even remember that he wasn't interested, but he was confused, and it made sense. He was, he had passed away from Alzheimer's disease. So we go, oh, he's locked into his death state. So she goes, well, I do Reiki on Alzheimer's, and the rest, and then we got him. In other words, we got him coherent. And then we crossed him over. And according to the family, now before everybody in the chat room calls bullshit, the point is the family said it worked. Everything was quiet after that. The mood changed once we crossed the spirits over. So even if it's all... This is what I tell everybody, Keith. I tell everybody, if what I do is bullshit, it doesn't matter if I convince the people that I'm helping them and they're happy.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if those clients are happy and paranormal free, you did your job.
That's how I feel about it.
You did your job.
So I don't remember what we were talking about now, because I butted in and had to tell my own damn story.
That's all good, man. I do the same thing. I would go off on 19 different tangents trying to say something and then forget what I was originally talking about.
We were talking about Reiki. We were talking about Reiki. Now, did you... Okay. Now, here's the thing about Reiki that I haven't picked, and one reason I haven't pursued it. I am an anomaly in that I can push energy around. I can manipulate it. Sometimes I can sense it when I'm really in tune. I can't see shit. I tried the meditation thing and tried to see energy and auras and all that good stuff. And to me, if I can't see it, I don't know that I would ever be good at Reiki. So
you would. I'm the same way. Sometimes I can't see energy. Other times I can. I cannot see auras. I have to feel them. And Reiki is essentially taking the universe's energy into your crown, pushing it out of your body, out of your hands, through your client. And you're not actually healing them. You are jump-starting their own body into healing with that energy.
I get that part, but I guess my thing is, and of course, maybe if I took the freaking course, I'd know this. But it's just a matter because I can't consistently sense energy and I can't see it. I wonder if, in other words, would I know, it's a head chakra, oh, they're having head chakra problems. Basically, the best I've been able to do is maybe one headache, and I temporarily helped somebody that had what's the one with where their nerves misfire, chronic pain.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
Oh well, but it was very short lived. In other words, I was
just like any profession.
Yeah, fibromyalgia.
You start as that's it. Okay. Yeah, you start, as a beginner, and you learn and you progress, and I'm sure you could do it. It takes some practice, it takes some learning.
Then the other problem is people would want me to do it, and I ain't got time. I barely have time for the paranormal work that I do now.
I've done it on my phone via video chat, or them sending me a picture while I'm driving down the road.
See, I'm a tactile person. Just like I didn't realize how bad this whole COVID-19 stuff would mess me up. I grew up shaking hands. When I go into a haunted location, that's how I get the feeling for the location, is I touch everything. I touch walls. I mean, I'm running I'm treating it like a very pretty woman. I'm just in a consensual relationship. But really, that's my hands are my conduit. So I don't see. I'm not even comfortable even imagining doing work remotely, other than now sometimes putting up barriers. So I guess it's the same principle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shielding work. Yeah, it's the same principle. You're still pulling in energy and using it in a different fashion.
Fair enough. We are at our first commercial break, everybody. We'll be right back with more Scarefest Television. Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
Hey Scarefest fans, it's Glenn here from fakeshamp.net, and how you all doing? Hope you're well, hope you're taking care of yourselves. It's always good to be back with you for another week, and this week I'm going to round off my little zombie trilogy with a doozy from 1988, well, some would argue 86, but it doesn't really matter. In fact, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm doing this one for me. Alright, so here's the thing. This one is totally self-indulgent. This one is all about me. The movie is called Zombie Brigade, and look, it's a forgotten film. Even some of the most intense Aussie horror fans are completely oblivious to its existence. And so this is my attempt to bring it back to the zeitgeist and perhaps introduce it to fans of low-rent independent horror movies I saw it once as a kid, and I've had lingering memories of it ever since. And in my mind, I guess throughout all of those years, it stuck with me as some kind of backyard, homemade zombie movie made by a bunch of kids. But having revisited it for the sake of this video, I've come to realize that it's actually quite good. I mean, don't get me wrong, because to the average moviegoer, it's still a heap of shit. But for those of us with a penchant for trash and exploitation, boy does it deliver the goods. Set in a small town with a greedy mayor who wants to build a giant amusement park in the middle of nowhere to bring in the tourist dollars and make him a fortune, the story has a local war memorial demolished as part of the construction, and then a horde of Australian and Japanese soldier zombies are unearthed. I mean, this is stupid stuff, because memorials are not grave sites, and I guess all logic goes out the window the moment the dead rise in this one. But to hell with that, screw it, this is just so much fun. And I guess what I love about it most is the fact that it's a time capsule movie. It has this brand of casual racism that was once accepted as normal, but is now completely fundamentally wrong. But I love it when films capture those attitudes. Not because I condone it or think the same way, but because it highlights our social progression, and it shows how far we've actually come when we think we may not have. But anyway, social politics aside, Zombie Brigade is loads of fun. It's pretty stupid, it's poorly made, but shining through all of those cheaply made thrills and subpar acting is a complete enthusiasm from the filmmakers, who are clearly working in their element and marching to the beat of their own drum. Well, thank you guys for sticking that one out for me. I know that was a bit of a tough one to get through, but you know what? The film is now out there for people to rediscover. And, well, I guess my work here is done. You're welcome. Anyway, if you're somebody that likes the look of that film, you can find it on YouTube. Head to the Video Wasteland page, and it's there in all of its glory. Anyway, that's it for me for another week, and don't forget to check out my podcast. Drops every Monday morning here, which is Sunday there. This week I've got a great guest. It's part 2 of an exclusive interview I did with the director of Guns Akimbo, which is the new action, ultra-violent, super-kinetic thrill ride starring Daniel Radcliffe. You don't want to miss that one, so good movie Monday. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna leave, and I'll catch you next week.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Scarefest Television. Quick reminder: Blue Leaf Naturals, BlueLeafNaturals.com, and they're giving away a free mask with $60 purchases. So there's something else you can that's another reason to go buy your CBD products from Blue Leaf Naturals. Okay, Keith, let's get into the numerology. You mentioned, now one of the numbers I see pops up that you're constantly is a repeat of the number 1. Now, first of all, I want to ask, is the number 1 itself important, or is it that it repeats? Like 11 and 11 and
1 is actually a very important number. Without that, we wouldn't have computers. 1 and 0s are what they use in computers. It turns the switches off, it turns the switches on, and that's how it works. But the more numbers you get together, the more powerful that number becomes. You got 1, then you got 11. That's a life number. My life number is 11. I was born on 11/11/1969. Which, if you figure it out, my life number is 11, which is kind of like a master number, which explains why it's kind of ruled my life. I sat down when I spoke at the Lincoln Paranormal Conference up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that's when I realized how long I'd been seeing this, and I just never paid attention to it. All of my addresses growing up, I could make 11 out of. Right now, I live at 419 North 11th, which is 11th and K. K is the 26th. No, K is the 11th number of the alphabet. So I actually live at 1111. You can't make this up. You can't.
Okay, now to the casual observer, what does that, knowing that, what does that do for you?
It helps me to pay attention to what's going on around me. Tells me what I'm supposed to be paying attention to, not only what's happening around me, but my thoughts. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling at this time? It's like them telling me, okay, you're on the right track right here. Keep on that. Keep doing what you're doing right there. You got your guides, you got your spirits, you got your angels. I mean, they're throwing numbers at people left and right if you pay attention. They're all over the place. If I posted everything I saw all day long, that'd be it. That's all that would be. Just post.
Well, okay, now speaking of that, now, I'm not going to say the numbers aren't important, because we were talking before the show that I do feel that a couple popped up really blatantly recently that I'm kind of interested in. But now here's the skeptic viewpoint, the little voice in the back of my head. Once you, now, and I'm not so much pointing this at you, but I see a lot of people that happen to be up at 1 a.m., and then they'll do a screenshot of their camera showing, 111. My thing is, I have this little voice in my head that says, overall, mostly, once you program yourself to watch for these numbers, you will find that 111 and 1111 pop up twice each a day.
Sure they do.
And so in other words, I think, how does one tell the importance of a number other than living at the frickin' address? I'll grant you that.
Right.
But for the casual person that are looking for these numbers, how do they deprogram themselves from just noticing? I guess I would just say the obvious. In other words, it's like okay. One more thing. It's like people that throw in 3 a.m. because it's the witching hour or whatever the hell they call it. And I love he gives the same smirk that I give when people say that. But I see a lot of people on Facebook that happen to be up at 3 a.m. and they, that's why I'm up. How does one deprogram themselves from just randomly noticing the same number because it's there?
Don't watch the phone. Don't watch the clock. If you're like at work, I'll be working, I'll be helping customers. My phone will buzz. I'll pick it up. Boom, 11:11. Okay, there it is. But if I'm sitting here scrolling Facebook and it's 11:10, well, I know 11:11 is going to come up. I don't post it. It's only if I happen to see it by happenstance, or I'm walking down the street and I look at this door and the address is 1111.
Gotcha.
Okay, there we go.
Well, that makes sense. So in other words, you almost have to make a conscious effort to just not waste your time noticing numbers. Right. Now, what was the other number that you said was very important in your life?
Well, the number 4 has always been my favorite number. I don't know why. I see it a lot. One of the meanings of that is you're completely surrounded by angels. Maybe that's why. But then you add 1 and 4, you get 5. 5 means change. 55 double change, 555. That's triple change. That's a lot of change happening, and change. People are afraid to change. I don't like it much either because it's rough to go through. But eventually, once you get through it, generally things are better. So.
I'm processing that because I like things to change if they need to be changed, but I will admit that but anytime change comes up, I'm that person that sits back and goes, now, if this changes, here's the possible shitstorm waiting at the end of the change. I'm that guy. That's how I got where I am at Scarefest. Everybody else is blowing smoke up their ass, and I'm telling them about rectal cancer caused by secondhand smoke. Now you mentioned the number 5. Now the only when we started talking about this before the show, you said you saw the number 5. Now the only connection I've ever made to the number 5, interestingly enough, although it sticks in my head, so who knows, it might be important. I don't notice the number 5. I can't say, it's in one of It's in my business address, but if I actually had a favorite number growing up, and my favorite number was the number 5. But that was because Speed Racer and the Mach 5. I remember that very distinctly. that was my favorite number. Now,
yeah, when we started talking, it was just right there in front of my face. 5.
Well, I will try to start watching for the number 5 more. Now, I do want to ask you, I brought it up before the show, the numbers that I have noticed recently, because it's funny, when they popped up, I'll just tell you, however they popped up, I won't go into the whole story, but it was like a whole row of 7s and a whole row of 1s. I'm like, son of a bitch, Keith Ottersberg made me notice that. And they hung there for a long time. Just so you know, so that we've discussed what the 1 is. Now, on your cheat sheet, what is the significance possibly of the number 7?
Number 7. I got a couple cheat sheets here, mainly because I got a bad memory. It's hard for me to memorize things. Luck is on your side. You're on the ultimate spiritual path. Keep doing what you are doing. Another one says,
I'm calling bullshit on that right now. Mainly, okay, in all seriousness, I feel like I have been spiritually derailed. I felt I was...
The other meaning.
Do what?
The other meaning.
Okay.
Let me say the other meaning.
Okay.
Alone time, meditation, study of metaphysics, personal development, connect with spirit, discover your life purpose, teach others, and develop your intuition. You're supposed to work on your gifts.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me that. Basically, I was working very hard on my gifts, and then some life events happened that took a lot of energy away from me. But I was still working on them, and for the next year, everything was fine. But it seemed like after that, that's when it started going sideways. And in the meantime, I feel like I've lost that connection. Which I never was good at meditation. I've always said that. When I go to meditate, I have to have something to focus on, because people say, oh, meditate while you're driving. No, if Wesley meditates while he's driving, basically I'm back to the grocery list, and no, I won't go off the road. It's just my mind wanders. I can't focus on meditation. But okay, so maybe that was my spirit guide's way of telling me. Now, by that being the combination of the 1 with the 7, do you know if that would have any significance?
1 over here is new beginnings, leave the past behind. Be an individual, be proactive, pay attention to your thoughts, spiritual awakening, be aware of your energy state. That kind of fits in with what you just said.
Yeah, I can buy that. But we'll talk about it when we come back. We're going to do a commercial break, everybody. We're going to do our commercial break. Then we'll do we've got the weekend horror history, but then we've got our announcements. We're going to give you the celebrity announcements immediately following this break. We'll be right back. Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanix, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanix specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanix tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Now find them monthly at the Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanix, that's Mechanix. Spirit Mechanix, for your spiritual health and well-being.
This week in horror history, we take a look at the life and death of one of history's most infamous crime duos, Bonnie and Clyde. This duo's crime spree only spanned 2 years, but in those 2 years, it is believed they, along with their gang, took the lives of 9 police officers and 4 civilians, as well as robbed dozens of banks, gas stations, and small stores. Because their crimes happened during the height of the Great Depression, many people saw their actions as heroic and thought of them as a type of Robin Hood, striking back against the system. No matter how they were viewed, their crime spree came to an end on May 23, 1934, when the duo was ambushed by police and killed in a shootout. The story of Bonnie and Clyde has been memorialized in everything from books, TV shows, theater, and even podcasts, and the legacy of Bonnie and Clyde will be around for decades yet to come. Horror movie history begins with the second installment of George Romero's zombie series, Dawn of the Dead. This film follows a group of people as they navigate trying to survive during a zombie apocalypse. The group eventually barricades themselves into a shopping mall where they fight the undead and the living. Dawn of the Dead was a critical success and is praised by critics and fans alike for its perfect blend of horror and gore. The film is often cited as being one of the few sequels that is superior to the original and is considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Horror, sci-fi, and comedy came together perfectly back in 1988 with the release of Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Evil alien clowns come to Earth in a spaceship disguised as a carnival tent and wreak havoc on a nearby small town. The townspeople are being hunted and harvested in cotton candy cocoons for the aliens to use as food, and no one suspects the goofy clowns as being the bad guys. This movie offers everything great you'd expect from a B-movie. Cheesy acting, cheesy special effects, grotesque monsters, and the perfect amount of gore and laughs. It's easy to see why fans love Killer Klowns and why it's developed a solid cult following.
And hello everyone, and welcome back to Scarefest Television. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. First, out of the gate, we're going to have, you know him as a construction coordinator for Breaking 2 Boogaloo, Mr. Mixtron. Mixtron, he is production designer, art department, special effects. He has worked on Blade, Candyman, just a whole bunch. Revenge of the Nerds, big Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Freddy's Nightmares, the TV series, Critters 2, Alien from LA. He has been all over the place, people, and Mr. Mixtron, which incidentally, this was the worst kept secret on Facebook, because before we even had the contract signed, he announced on Facebook that he was coming. So yeah, that one was no big surprise to anyone. Next, if you've watched any movie that had a bendy chick in it, it was probably her. Bonnie Morgan. She is a actress and a contortionist of all things. But she, when you see the creepy girl walk up the aisle in rings or crawl up the aisle in rings, in other words, anytime you see somebody walk on their hands and knees backwards with their head twisted, probably her. She was in Minority Report, Hellboy 2, a whole slew of others. The Last Witch Hunter. I love that she was in one called Meth Head. I don't know that one. So we got Bonnie Morgan, everybody. Bonnie Morgan, from The Ring 2. And finally, straight from the the halls of a police academy, Leslie Easterbrook, and of course she was also in a little ditty called Devil's Rejects, but she was Callahan. Everybody, we love her as, I believe it was Callahan in Police Academy, most of the Police Academy movies. But I didn't really realize how many horror movies she had been a part of. But if you go to her IMDb page, a lot of them are TV horror movies, but still there's a lot of horror movies. Terror Birds, Sorority Party Massacre. This one's my favorite. She played a character called Stella Fawnskin. In Sorority Party Massacre. So I love that. But there are your 3 celebrity announcements for tonight. We will have more just next week, week after. We're pounding them out now, everybody. We're back now with Keith Ottersberg talking about numerology greatly. I don't want to talk too much. I'll talk to you after the show about myself. But
okay.
In numerology, I guess one thing I get to people is you had a couple of lists that you printed out. If somebody wanted to look into numerology and see how it could affect and or improve their life, do you have any resources that you would point them to?
I don't handy. There are a number of websites you can go to. If you Google angel numbers, repeating angel numbers, I can't remember the name of the site, but there's a good one that pops up right up front. And it actually goes through and tells you, okay, this is what they're saying. This is what your strengths are. This is what your weaknesses are. This is what you need to work on. Kind of why you're seeing that number. A lot of sites out there like that. Some, list out what the repeating numbers mean. You go to different sites, you may get slightly different meanings. So you pick the one that resonates with you the most. Like I said, I'm looking for a class so I can become an official numerologist. I haven't found the right one yet. The right numbers haven't been there. I gotta have to. Once I see the right numbers, that's the class.
That actually makes perfect sense. If you're going to take a numerology class, look for one that has numbers that appeal to you.
Right.
Now, one thing we agreed to not do before we got started on the show, we were not going to talk politics tonight, but I am going to touch on, from the energy aspect, this, okay, like I said, I was derailed long before this, but I feel that since this has started, there have just been waves of energy hitting me that I've had to just not only ignore, defend against.
Ground, people. Ground. Stay hydrated. It is nasty out there. You've got all the people arguing and fighting and putting all that negativity out into the universe. But we have something that's kind of combating that. We also have people who are staying home and actually doing their shadow work. They're working on themselves. They're shedding negativity instead of spewing it out. They're letting light in. They're waking up. They're raising their vibration.
I'm sure there are, but now they must be outnumbered like 1 billion to 1, Keith. Now, this is admittedly based on my experience on Facebook.
Yeah, it is. We are, light workers are outnumbered tremendously, which is why we really need to push the positive energy out in the universe right now. And blocking shielding work, that helps a lot right now. Now,
this is something that I have spoken to a couple of my spiritual confidants about. But on top of all this negative energy, the other thing I've noticed, now this is what you just said kind of triggered it in my mind. A lot of people that were and do and are claiming to be light workers.
Mm-hmm.
Since this has gone down, have become some of the absolute most negative people that I can imagine. I mean, just absolutely, they're not happy unless someone walks up and sets their hair on fire. That is the only way.
On why that is. Some, quote, light workers only look to the light side of things. They won't deal with their own darkness. So when everybody else's darkness hits them, they get slammed into the dirt and they don't know what to do, and it affects them, and they let it affect them. And then here it comes. Here it comes. It's all going to come out. They turn into one of the other ones that they complain about.
I absolutely agree with you on that. Now the follow-up to that would be, and this is something I saw you mention, and I've seen it brought up, and this has to do with we're in a spiritual transition time. That now, here's my problem. I'm not saying we're not, but the little voice in the back of my head. I worry. How can I put this? First of all, a lot of these spiritual transitions, I've heard the same people say the same thing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and I haven't seen shit. So there's part one. But the other part is, I don't see how we could have a widespread awakening, if you will, a widespread spiritual transition with all this negative energy out there funking things up.
It's hard to explain. But, like I said, there are more people, quote, stuck at home. And they're dealing with their family, with their husbands, with their wives, with their kids. And they're having to work their issues through. They're having to talk to each other and get things out that maybe they've been bottling up a lot. You get that out, that makes room for light to come in. Your vibration starts to raise because your family is harmonizing better. At least we're going to hope that's what's happening. There are cases where that's not, and it's a bad situation, and we got to pray for those people. But as you raise your vibration, you get downloads, your body changes, your vibration actually changes. Everything vibrates. Even this desk, it vibrates. Each little molecule vibrates. It's just denser. There's more molecules packed into one spot. Some people vibrate very low. Some people vibrate very high. I've worked very hard over the last two and a half years to work on myself, become a better person, and get up to where I need to be to help other people. It's really helped my mental attitude. It's helped everything about me. I ain't letting anybody drag me back down there. No way. You see these people with broken cars. Their car's always breaking down. Their house is always breaking down. They're always broke. They're always.
Whoops.
You gives you what you ask for. If you know how to ask. You constantly throw out negativity. Guess what you're going to get back? Negativity. You throw out positivity. You're going to get some positivity back. Maybe it's just a gorgeous sunset. I thank the Creator for that. If I get to see that, that's my gift for the day. Something I did, that day. I helped somebody. There's my gift.
Final commercial break. We'll be right back with more with Keith Ottersberg. Akashic Awareness is a metaphysical healing and learning center unlike any other. A large selection of crystals, gems, and minerals greet you as you walk in the door, but from that point onward, the journey is yours. They offer a great selection of metaphysical tools, state-of-the-art holistic healing, with classes and lectures scheduled throughout the month. Akashic Awareness is open Tuesday through Saturday, noon until 6:30, 7 on Friday and Saturday. Visit their website for a current calendar of their almost daily special events and guests at akashicawareness.com. And while you are there, be sure to join their email list to stay current. Akashic Awareness, 328 Sycamore Street, Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism.
Spiritual advisement.
Paranormal investigations.
Inspirational presentations.
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis. I posted the other day on Facebook about what you would like me to review, and some of them are really good ideas, and I think I'm going to use them as we go. I had a change of heart yesterday, and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to talk about. People compile lists, and they do the best of, worst of. I'm not very good at that. When people ask me my favorite movie, because I do get asked it several times, I always say, I don't know. It's like asking me my favorite finger. They're all different, and they all serve a fantastic purpose in any given day. I don't even know that horror films are my favorite genre, but I do love horror films. And I'm thinking about the movies that I loved, and I mean loved, that were horror films. I was trying to wonder, what are the best three? There's only two that I loved. Saw them in the theater, went back and saw one of them twice. Just could not get enough of both of them. I still watch them. There's two, and I highly recommend. They're my two favorite horror films made in the last decade, and they were both made by studios. The Cabin in the Woods, written by Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, directed by Drew Goddard. It takes the tale of the Evil Dead or any other cabin in the wood type horror film. Bunch of dumbass college students, teenagers go to a cabin and chaos ensues. Some axe murder, some demon, some ghost. And it turns it on its head in a funny way, in an imaginative way. And it doesn't necessarily have an upbeat ending. I love the ending. The ending doesn't leave much room for a sequel. I had so much fun with this in the theater that I went out and saw it again in the theater. I just couldn't get enough of it. I've watched it several times since then. I love it. It is entertainment for people who know and love horror films. And I don't want to give, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give away twists and turns. The plot is college students go to a cabin in the woods, and there's more than meets the eye there. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give too much away. And if you've seen it, you know that you don't want people to know the twists and turns. Check out Cabin in the Woods. If for nothing else, it's got a future Thor in it, Hemsworth. When they announced a remake of this movie, I thought it was the worst idea since the remake of Halloween. But they didn't make a remake. They said it was a remake, but even the director, Fede Alvarez, said back in the day we would have just called this a sequel. In the 80s, they would have just called it a sequel. Evil Dead. The Evil Dead remake by Fede Alvarez is one of the best horror films made in the last decade, if not in the last 2 decades. This is a scary movie. This movie is balls out horror. This movie is unapologetic. This movie has someone cutting their tongue with a knife on screen to make it like a serpent's forked tongue. The reviews started coming in, and they were pretty good, and I started feeling a little bit better. And then I started seeing footage and going, damn, this looks really good. And I started seeing trailers, and I couldn't wait. And it delivered on everything. The fact that the lead is a female, Mia. And by the way, if you take the first letter of all the 5 characters' names, it spells demon. Google it. I can't recommend it enough. Is it better than the original Evil Dead? Well, it's not really a remake. It kind of exists on its own plane of its own existence. Clearly, there are shouts out through it. The classic, if you're a Sam Raimi fan, is in there, the Oldsmobile. It belongs in the universe. But Fede had his own version, or his own vision, and I loved it. I've got to tell you, in the last 10 years, my 2 favorite horror films, Cabin in the Woods and The Evil Dead. And if you hate me because I didn't put Get Out, which is good, or several other movies which are good as well, please message me, tweet me, Facebook me, argue with me. It's fine. I enjoy it. I want the criticism. So thank you so much, Scarefest. Tune into Bonehead when you get a chance and subscribe. This has been Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. AkashicAwareness.com. Go over there, check out their COVID-19 update. Basically, they are open for business. They do have the 10 customer limit, and they haven't started their classes yet. But if you're in the Elizabethtown area, great people, Mark and Shelley over at AkashicAwareness.com. Okay, Keith, to finish out the hour, I want to talk a little bit about, Ghost. We'll go that direction.
Okay.
Cobra Paranormal, your group, you you've already explained, you go out, you help people. Have you been able to do much, at least recently, if not throughout the pandemic?
Not physically. We have worked a couple cases remotely. We just got done helping a gentleman in Florida simply by video chatting, doing the energy work and the work through video chat. We were able to take care of an entity that he had, and he's doing great. So.
Now, the follow-up to that is, now this is I've gotten mixed reports on this, so everybody that has anything to do with ghosts, that's what I'm asking them.
Okay.
Are you still, are you getting, are people, how can I ask it? The reports, the request for help, are they on the uptick? Are they on the ghost or quarantined also? What's been your experience so far?
I actually expected the claims and the calls for help to skyrocket. However, they really haven't.
Okay.
I think where the entire family is in the house all the time, they're dealing with each other. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them, which is probably a good thing, because all this negative energy that everybody's putting out, that can really spark a quote haunting. It can really kick things into high gear. But with all the stuff that's going on out there right now, I'm not going to get into the politics of the aspect, but the nasty stuff that people are doing in those towns, to the buildings and the cars and everything else, that's putting a lot of negativity out into the universe, and it's going to come back and smack them in the back of the head. It's gonna.
See, that was, you kind of touched on the two aspects of it that worried me the most. Now, because of the, however you want to deem how I specialized myself, most of the hauntings that I was called in on were of the negative variety. And most of the time I found that those negative entities were drawn to negative people, negative energy, however you want to put it. So that was my first thing. I thought, everybody's going to be in a shit mood, and it's just going to ramp up the activity, whether it's actual ghost or thought forms or whatever. Then going back to what I said before, I really, having that much negative energy at its disposal, the evil in the world, I just can't believe that the walls are not bleeding. That's the only way I can put it.
I know, and the only thing I can think of that's keeping this from happening is the Earth's vibration is actually raising. The Schumann resonance has been going off the chart.
I have read that.
Yeah, I've kind of been keeping track. It is just nuts and outrageous. And the higher the higher the Earth vibrates, the higher the Schumann resonance. A lot of people can't handle it. They start, anxiety, and they just clench up and they curl up in a ball. Me, it calms me. I'm very good. I'm very calm right now. I'm looking at all this stuff going on out there, and it's like, you idiots. I'm not blowing a gasket about it. It's like it's going to hit them, but it calms me, and it helps me. Now, when it goes lower, that's when I start having issues. So I really got to watch myself with that.
On sort of the same topic, the Stephanie Bingham, I asked her a very similar, pretty much same damn question. Her theory was that we're so tied up. Of course, first of all, you take your public locations, nobody's going in hunting. Those ghosts are just absolutely lost right now. They don't know what's going on. They don't have that interpersonal energy to draw off of. And so I kind of wonder if the same thing isn't happening, because we've got, it's not what I thought would happen. but it's almost like we've got so much on our minds right now, and you kind of touched on it, that that they can't get our attention.
Right. Yeah, we're too busy focusing on everything else. We got our face glued to Facebook and the TV, watching the news about you can't say it because they'll flag the video and take it off. So the critter that's going around out there, and then all the riots and this and that, and the race wars. Okay, well, the virus didn't work. Let's throw out the race wars. Watch for George Soros' paychecks coming out. I'm calling it now.
Well, I'm not going to go down that road right
go
now. but there is a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. I will definitely agree with that on to the fan base.
Yep.
I guess we'll just close this out by saying grounding. Now, how do you ground? That was going back to the beginning of the conversation. That was what you brought up about, processing this energy.
Yeah. Okay.
What does that mean to you?
Okay. Grounding, going outside, walking around in your yard in bare feet. There's something about it. I can't remember exactly what it is, but the Earth's energy and molecules combined, with yours. I mean, it's just grounding. It levels you out. You can go talk to a tree and say, "Hey, I got this issue. Can you help me remove this excess energy?" And you'll actually hear, if you're awake at all, you'll hear a yes or no. And if it says yes, cycle that energy into that tree. The tree will spread it out through its roots and ground it. I go out to the lake and I've got a huge granite boulder I sit on, and I ground through that. I bring in Reiki light and I cycle it through me and I ground that way. Stones, hematite, petrified wood, those are good grounding stones. There's a lot of other ones out there. There's all different kinds. Taking a shower, taking a bath. Your pipes come in through the ground. Most times they're metal. Come up, the water comes out, it goes back down the drain through the metal pipes into the ground. You're grounding.
I hadn't really thought about showers. I do believe salt baths and all that stuff. But I do believe in physically grounding. I've tried the tree thing. I don't get along with trees. I think it's because in the process of farming, I've had to destroy so many of them that I'm afraid they hold a grudge. Like why? Chris Sutton told me to talk to the 100-year-old cedar tree in my yard. And I said, I have chopped down so many of his children that I just can't imagine him liking me. But I like to physically ground. Now I do exactly what you said, only I actually find a soft spot in the dirt and just dig my fingers in. In other words, I bypass the tree roots. So that is, but I am a firm believer in grounding.
Yeah.
So, I guess the final question is, what is on the horizon for Keith Ottersberg and Cobra Paranormal? What do you see? Do you have anything coming up after all this is over? What's your future plans?
Okay. We still plan on helping, people around here that need it. If we can help people far away remotely, we're going to do that. Steve still pulls me in here and there for, some of their stuff. I am finally getting the tech down. I am not tech savvy, so I had some help with one of my team members. I think we finally got it down so I can get my podcast, The Otter's Den, back on. So hopefully that's going to happen here pretty soon. Me and Joni Templeton Skinner, we're going to start something here pretty soon. We're going to try it, see how it works. We're going to combine, she does like astrology. We both kind of meddle with tarot a little bit. She's real good on the astrology charts and stuff. So we're going to combine the numbers and the astrology and everything, and kind of give like maybe a weekly or a monthly forecast on the Otter's Den. And if it goes good enough, we may make our own separate page or something. So basically just me stepping back out of my comfort zone, getting back on my show, getting my guests on, just like you're doing, And then the couple of team members, we got a couple other things going on. So we're just going to kind of work on ourselves and see if we can't grow things, not those things.
Everybody, this has been Scarefest Television. I want to thank Keith Ottersberg for coming on tonight. Tune in next week. We'll have more Scarefest Television.